Hello, everyone. This is Lenard Guzman here with Emily Robinson on the Modern Divorce Podcast. It's April 6th, 2022, and we are thinking of things that we gave up for Lent for the Catholics. I'm a Catholic, so my mom always asks me every year, and I can never think of a good answer. So I don't know if you practice this, Emily, but yeah, we're in that time of year where Easter, I think a lot of people celebrate Easter in some form. I see Easter eggs in stores. So I went into Walmart to pick up some medicine, and I'm seeing Easter stuff. And your kids, are you into this Easter egg thing?
Yeah, so we're Jewish, so we actually celebrate Passover this time of year. So we're getting ready for our big cooking day. We cook like all day and then have our Passover Seder, which they get excited about. But of course, especially my little one is super into the Easter bunny and Easter eggs. So, yep, I do an Easter basket every year and she does an egg hunt and we paint Easter eggs. She loves doing that and it's lots of fun.
Yeah, so since we're here in this, I hate to bring the mood down, but since we are doing the divorce podcast, do things come up with? I know people change, the religion or some are more active during some times in their lives and some not. Do these things come up in court? Do they not? I imagine in other parts of the country it's a more serious thing than liberal California here.
Right. There's always disputes in court about the kids' religion. You know, when you're married, you may choose to raise them one religion and then you divorce and you choose you don't want to anymore, but the other parent still does. So there's definitely disputes about that. The court cannot dictate what a parent does as far as religion. So the court can't say, well, you were raising your child Jewish, so now you got to stick with Jewish. You're allowed to do whatever you want. It's a free country. So we have to negotiate and figure out ways that, you know, parents can share Easter. One parent can do Easter and one can do Passover. And then sometimes those days conflict with each other and are on the same day. So we have to figure out what do we do if that happens. So, yeah, there's definitely lots of negotiation around those issues.
Just like anything else, everything is negotiable. All right, let's see what's going on in divorce news today. So this part of the show, we're going to go over what's trending on Google about divorce. We always come up with interesting things like celebrity news, financial things, money. Money always is, of course, we're capitalists here in the United States. So it always comes up. Wow. Okay. This headline. So this man, so he says here the headline. I'm not going to click this thing, but it's interesting. So man faces divorce from one of 9 wives. He's tired of sharing. Now, I know in like Utah, the Mormon churches, and other probably religions, there's people with multiple wives. Is there something in California where there's a limit to I guess spouses? Does that ever come up for you? Because this caught my eye because this is something. This isn't my world at all. In my world.
Here you can only have one spouse. If you try to marry more than one person, then the second marriage is not valid. Um, and so, we don't go when you're talking about a state divorce or a state marriage, you don't go um by the any religious rules. You may be a certain religion, but for your marriage to be recognized in the state, you can't have multiple wives. Now, maybe you can go have multiple wives in your religion. And so religiously, you do have 9 wives, but the state's only going to recognize the one valid marriage.
All right, let's switch the topic here. From NewYorkTimes.com. I think we've touched upon this one because it's an interesting topic. So NewYorkTimes.com. You want your child vaccinated, but your ex says no. For some parents who share custody, the COVID vaccine has created a minefield of issues that initial divorce decrees could not anticipate. So this article keeps on going. In 2021, Adele wrote, a divorced mother of two in Minneapolis took her children to a vaccination clinic at the Mall of America, but when her 13-year-old daughter called her father to let him know they were getting the shot, Miss Grote knew they would have to leave without it. So couple numbers here, just over a quarter of children between 5 and 11 in the US are fully vaccinated, according to a New York Times database. Among older children, ages 12 to 17, the rate is 59%. For parents who have yet to vaccinate their children, the reasons for hesitation vary. To 2021 survey from Kaiser Foundation, many cited concerns about long-term side effects, including how vaccines might later affect their children's fertility. So they're saying there's no evidence of this. And then after a widely shared study about the risk of myocarditis and the COVID-19 vaccine, CDC affirmed that the vaccine is safe and cases of heart inflammation after vaccination are rare. And then in most cases, whether they have decided to vaccinate now or later, doctors say the parents, they counsel have agreed with each other. So, but when they do not, the battle is a part of a new pandemic front and divorce custody battles. One is poised to expand with the imminent approval of vaccines for children under 5. So it seems here that there's no solution here, right? It's an individual thing. There's no, I guess, mandates. We'll see later, because there's no precedence, right? And I don't know how long Congress takes to put these in place. So what do you think of this? Is this part of your daily life here? Is there a day that you don't hear something like this?
Not really anymore. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of disputes between parents about vaccinating versus not vaccinating, and I've seen a lot of requests for parents to have, sole legal decision-making power for the children because they can't agree on things like vaccinations. So yeah, this is definitely a big area of contention. At the moment, the court cannot mandate vaccination. The only thing the court can do is decide if one of the parents gets to make the decision. So who gets to make that decision? And the court can choose who the court thinks is, being more reasonable. But that's the only thing the court can do at this point.
All right, next topic here is it's a money one. So getting a divorce. Here's how to tackle these money issues from CNBC. So key points here: amid divorce, lower earning, soon-to-be ex-spouse often underestimate the future cost of living single. Financial advisors should be involved in the entire divorce process. Say advocates, divorcing couples should plan for what they need rather than react to what they're offered. People often say, I just want out, but the reality is going to hit you later, said certified financial planner Niv Prasad. So here's a few things that he says. He's developed a 10-point list to help clients become aware of what she calls lifestyle costs. So spending categories to analyze before negotiating divorce. So obviously housing is number one, transportation, food. It's funny here, it says food delivery. So that's a thing, that's a big thing now. 4 is personal care, grooming, cosmetics, dry cleaning. I haven't used dry cleaning in a while. Probably will now because the weddings are coming up. I see them lined up on the calendar. Entertainment. So that one's this one's streaming. That's a modern one. Dependent care. That's including children, pets, aging parents. So number 7 is health, gifts, 8, miscellaneous, and then 10, spending in the future, which should be like top 3. But what do you think? Did we not cover something in there?
No, I mean, I think that, well, miscellaneous can kind of, cover everything, but no, I think that does cover everything. You know, that finances are a big issue in divorce. It is probably the number one thing that I see people getting divorced about. Um, I think a lot of people would think it's probably like affairs, but I think it's actually money, is people not agreeing on how to spend, how much to spend, what to spend on, being able to make a budget together, being able to trust their spouse on their spending, and then midlife crises where somebody suddenly starts spending money on a lot of crazy stuff um, that was not the way they used to spend. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's a really important topic.
Especially now with God, inflation is just going crazy. Um,
Gas prices. Oh my gosh.
Gas prices is like I haven't filled up, but my brother's telling me he spent $90 or something at the at the gas station. So I assume things are going to get messier because the I never thought I would say this, but the dollar doesn't go as far, even in the United States. In other countries, okay, like sure, but this is it's an interesting time. I think inflation hasn't risen this high since like the 80s. I was listening to a economist, but yeah, we feel before I was like, oh, it's nothing, right? 1 or 2%. Now it's something that God, the 80s. Think about it. The 80s was it's almost it's 40 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's yeah, it's just,
you definitely feel it. I mean, yeah, I like going to the gas station is painful. Even my clients say to me like, "Hey, can we please um, do court virtually because I can't even afford the gas to get there."
yeah. And then in LA, the public, I mean, transportation, it's just forget about it. It would take you the whole day, I think.
We don't have anything good. Yeah.
All right, let's go to this one, which is a familiar topic we touch on all the time. So, what is no fault divorce, and why does it matter? This is from Yahoo News. So, the Divorce Dissolution Separation Act in 2020 came into effect on Wednesday, April 6th, first promised by the government in April 2018. Divorcing couples have now been waiting for 4 years for the act, which is set to revolutionize marital splits with the introduction of no-fault divorce. So the no-fault divorce is a new legal concept that will stop couples fighting over blame during a breakup, something which Justice Secretary MP Robert Buckland says will spare families. So he quotes here says the institution of marriage will always be virtually vitally important, but must never allow a situation where our laws exacerbate conflict and harm a child's upbringing by sparing individuals the need to play the blame game. We are stripping out the needless antagonism. This creates so families can better move on with their lives.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? Is this a big thing that they just passed?
No, that must be from a different state because we in California have had no fault divorce for a long time. But the whole point we used to have fault-based divorce here, and the whole point of getting rid of it was like it said in the article. Um, People spent a lot of time and money fighting over whose fault is this, and you know, who, cheated on the other and who did this and who did that. And the problem was that people were spending a lot of money on that litigation and fighting about it. um and first of all, it really has no practical legal result in as far as community property division. Now, fault-based divorce states may say, oh, well, you can get more of the estate if it's not your fault, or you don't want the divorce. But the problem is, then everybody blames the other person, and you just spend the entire time trying to prove it was the other person's fault. So this is meant to just allow you to proceed with the divorce, divide everything equally, and move on.
Wow, that's so this do you get like when you get this like what's a no fault, it's like a relief to, I imagine. So this is probably a more federal thing where it's a national kind of act that they pushed through. So
I think,
imagine, yeah.
did it say it was federal? Because I think each state can choose.
Um,
Because I think some states have fault divorce, um, but California doesn't. So I don't think there's a federal rule, unless that's a new rule that came out. But um, usually it's about, the states deciding for themselves what it's going to be. It's a relief for some people. Some people it makes very angry because they are like, my spouse like left me and, destroyed my life, and I can't even, you know, it doesn't even matter. They don't get any punishment.
yes. So nonetheless, we've learned what it is. I've certainly known what it is now. So we don't need to know all the technicalities. We can go into that later. You can give Emily an email. She'll explain to you. All
Happy to
right. So,
answer.
oh, perfect. Um, let's get into the part of the show where we ask Emily anything. So we're going to go over posts people put online um, to kind of go through like people's journey, the divorce journey that they're in, whether they're having mental issues, whether child custody, money issues. And let's get to our first one here. So um, this one is about dating. Okay, so do you have any plans to marry again after your divorce? So in the early days of divorce, the kind of strong face that faced the strange eyes of relatives and friends, but also the kind of strong smile, the kind of sadness that dares to open the door in the middle of the night and let the tears soak the pillow, the kind of standing in the army of employment as a single mother, clumsy and dazed. It's very poetic. What do you think?
It is. It is. Wow. I mean, I like when people share like how they're feeling as a single parent, because it's a very different perspective from, each person. That one is like, very poetic. Um, and I think everybody's going to be ready to date and move on at different speeds. There's no right answer. Um, Ultimately, you deserve to be happy and you want to find what makes you happy. But for some people, that's staying single. And some people, it's meeting a new partner. So, you know, no one can judge. It's really whatever is right for you.
Next one is a life after divorce. What are the things that happened in your marriage that now you're looking back, you can clearly see was mentally, emotionally abusive? There's a number of things for me, but I'm curious what you have to say.
Wow. Well, I mean, I always hear about emotionally and abusive things, financially abusive things. And, you know, many of the emotional things I hear are, a lot of yelling, manipulation, um, kind of like threats, like if you do this, you'll never see your kids again, I'll take them from you. Or, you know, if a lot of it's tied to kids, holding, because people know that that's so important to a parent. Um, or if you don't do what I say, I'll leave you with no money and completely homeless, that's the kind of abuse I hear about a lot. Financial abuse can be, not giving you enough money for uh, survival, or keeping you on such a tight financial leash that you have no freedom. So I hear about that kind of financial abuse a lot. Um, and also, one spouse spending all the money on inappropriate things, maybe like gambling or drug addictions, and um, leaving no money for the family's needs.
Okay, let's see. This one is the next one's about infidelity. Why does it have to be so painful? My wife and I have separated after the discovery of multiple affairs. All I want to do is go on with my life and not care. Instead, I'm not eating. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about her with someone else. How do I make this pain stop?
Yeah, that's really hard because there's so many levels there. There's betrayal, there's, you know, feeling like you were betrayed, feeling like you were lied to, also then having a broken heart on top of that. There's a lot of hard levels. You really need to talk to a grief counselor or a therapist because it is hard to get through those levels on your own, and you shouldn't have to. And there's people that specialize in helping you get through the levels of grief and pain. So, you need to make sure that you find the resources that can help you.
Okay, this next one is got a Heloc. Okay, so a Heloc is when you refinance your house, I think, and you pull out cash, right? You could Google this more and kind of see. But in this situation, this person is saying for child alimony support, taking out a Heloc to get the spouse out of the house. So is anyone taking a Heloc out to front money to your ex to assist them in moving out of the house when you are intending to keep the house? Consider it front for the money, and then when the alimony um, money is decided, I would refinance for 50% less. Whatever I gave in the Heloc feels like a really simple, easy transaction. I would just pay interest only, then roll into my new mortgage or something like that. What possible pitfalls am I missing?
Well, that is actually a pretty common thing to do is take out a line of credit on the house or a loan to be able to buy your spouse out of the house or help them move out or things like that. I mean, I think the only pitfall would be like, what if you don't qualify? Like, what if you can't afford on your income alone to roll that into your mortgage or to, you know, keep the house? Then you'd ultimately have to sell because you'd have to be able to qualify on the one income for the house and the loan. So I think that would be the one danger. But if you're working with a broker and you know you qualify, then and you can afford your monthly payment, it's not a bad plan.
All right, the last post of the day is getting started one. It's for someone who wants quick divorce help. My wife and I are getting a divorce. We are agreeing on everything. I'm wondering what the quickest option is. Would it be an online service or going to a cheap lawyer or getting the paperwork and filing it myself?
Mm.
Any experience with this? Please, I'd like to hear.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the cheapest option is always doing it yourself, but it doesn't mean it's the best option because you want to make sure it's done right and causes you less of a headache. So, um, the safest option is probably getting one attorney that acts as a neutral, like a mediator, to help both of you with paperwork and filling it out. And then if any disputes come up, they could also resolve those with you.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was trying to fix my garage, and it costs more to fix what I kind of broke. It like so yeah. So that's what this reminds me of. So Anyways, thank
Yeah.
you. Do you have something to say, Emily?
No, I was gonna say I find that a lot. It costs more for me to fix paperwork that other people screwed up than it does for me to just do it in the first place.
Yes. So save your money and do it right the first time. Or you can learn the lesson like I did. Okay. So that's all we have the time for today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Modern Divorce Podcast, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.